So you do have to wonder. So you do have to ask yourself, is it possible?
And I say, yes.
Ancient action figure prophecies foretold.
Is it indeed possible?
Mr. Lane.
Hello.
How are you doing since Wednesday, buddy?
I mean, it's been just Anakin week of sit the eyes and grumble. You underestimate my power.
It really is, and I think that Hot Toys is laughing all the way to the bank, baby.
Well, I mean, I think we expect by, this time next week, we'd probably be saying, looking up Hot Toys like, hey, how many of all those exclusives you brought to Celebration are left? And, if there was a camera that they could then pan to the left, there would just be, nothing but shelves and like a tumbleweed would come rolling by. Because they're probably going to clean all of those out from Galen to that stormtrooper, to, of course, a certain Sith apprentice, to, if they decide just at the last minute to throw a wicket that use it carrying a candy cane, will probably all sell out.
Well, you know what? I look, it's getting very, very, very close to Celebration. So,
which is exciting too, because who knows what else Hot Toys might put out before the end of the month. New stuff or stuff we've been waiting on for a while.
Do you think, Lane, they're going to announce something else? What say you?
Well, I mean, I don't know about this week, but I think definitely before the end of the month, we're probably going to see. I think I could see it like a week with the week before, for May the 4th. We could see some of the release, whatever, maybe Revenge of the Sith or something like that, or we'll get our fourth Anakin in like, third Anakin in 3 months. Or what am I talking about? Not even in 3 months, in like 6 weeks.
All right, so I got to ask you this serious question. Are we going to have more Anakins within the next 6 weeks? Or more Iron Mans? Is Iron Man going to catch up?
Maybe by showcase or something new. But,
or Christian Bale. I got to throw him in there.
Ooh, how many Bales have they done? Do you know? Can you think of?
I don't know.
5 or 6 or something. Anakin still got a lot of catch-up work to catch up to Christian Bale.
Well, yes, but I think Howard, he's already done this with Christian Bale, Spider-Man, and Iron Man.
Even if he's got to take 10 years off, they'll come back again with then in like 1 year, you'll get like 3 different versions.
Yeah, because, with Celebration coming at May 4th and the fact that Aries is live with Legend Lane, this is definitely when the fun begins.
The next couple weeks, I mean, literally, Aries, would you say the most likelihood for getting probably a decent number? I mean, obviously we've had a pretty good number of Star Wars announcements, but I mean, like maybe completely new stuff. Like we'll talk about, from this last week, a completely new figure and a 2.0.
No, because they got to give you a 2.0 of this first before they give you something.
My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count.
Good. Twice the pride, double the fall.
Bro, could you imagine? Now, it wouldn't be as big as like these Artisan Anakins, but if they did like an Artisan Count Dooku, like Aries, let's just be real here. You would, obviously it wouldn't come out for a year and a half or something, but that would be a figure. Just if it's nothing more, it's like a rooted hair Christopher Lee.
Artisan. You're thinking Artisan Dooku.
Could you imagine that
that's stealing.
you would be getting that? You would be on the hotline with Hot Toys Wizard trying to saying holler for my hookup.
I think we can say hotline. I think me and the Hot Toys hotline.
Yeah. Well,
Hotter,
no,
and I think you would get that figure.
Yeah, the Six Sail Cantina would be contacting the Hot Toys Wizard saying, holler my hookup so that I can get that from Hong Kong as fast as possible. Maybe minus 145% tariffs, but that's a different.
Wade, you get the first one of the day of this, serving you up on Table Oblivion.
The Wizard.
I think at this point, if we just can get a 2.0 Count Dooku, that would be cool. Even though the only Count Dooku we have right now, pricing wise, he's been pretty on the secondary market, at least on BSTs. He's been pretty reasonably priced where you can get, still over retail, somewhat, but not like crazy like he was maybe, where he was like $400 or more 2 years ago. So he's a figure you can get your hands on. But I think that's because there's the possibility, because of the 2.0 Orama that Hot Toys has become, and 20th anniversary, there are people thinking we could get that.
Listen. I practice what I preach, Lane.
Yep.
And you have to ask yourself, is it possible that the Dark Jedi, Ares Tarrington, who serves up all the 6-scale action figure talk, has put up his Count Dooku for sale? Because I have heard from an otherworldly being, I have received a message, maybe from the 3-eyed raven, maybe the 13th skull put it on the 3-eyed raven, or maybe it was just my coffee was so strong. But I really know this 2.0 is coming. It was strong and made me crazy like this guy here.
I love the way you make them.
Oh my God! Let me know what table you're all at here.
We're 5 minutes in and we're already predicting to the high heavens stuff. In the next couple weeks, we could possibly see, just because maybe not so much this week, but with Celebration during the next 2 weeks, between that Celebration start next Friday, so in less than a week, and May the 4th. And also we've got, let's not forget, guys, not this weekend, but the weekend after. You got Celebration this weekend. You've got Andor, which obviously we'll talk a little bit in relation to that. Probably one of the best Disney Star Wars series that's been made. Gets its second season started, 3 episodes. And you can go see Revenge of the Sith being re-released for the 20th anniversary. This is so much good. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're going to be in good the next probably 2.5 weeks or so.
You're going to be in really, really good. And I can tell you, when it comes to this, okay, DX47, Artisan Darth Vader, as Hot Toys put it, and we're going to be covering that today out of this live episode of the market show. But as they put it in their own marketing, okay, a copy, that it is the most anticipated figure ever. Okay, there's going to be a lot of collectors, Lane, that are going to be doing this when they are in the queue.
Yeah.
Come on, baby.
In the queue, there's going to be people in line next Friday or something like that in Japan who are going to be yelling that in probably multiple languages.
And there's going to be people in the queue that think they have a good number. And then all of a sudden, when they're just about to hit the buy it now, it's going to go like this for them, baby.
Yeah? Watch this.
What you going to do when the Dark Jedi goes super live on you? Come on.
All I'm going to say is right now, Chad, as you're watching me, as my head is slowly going down after that last comment there, so you can't see me, and I am not associated with that, because when Karma comes back, you can throw all your tomatoes that direction away from my head.
Listen, they don't got no more tomatoes, because some of Santa's elves that work for 6-scale Cantina, they used all the tomatoes trying to make this thing.
You're delicious.
Ciao, boys.
But man, there's just so much fun. Like
I know.
there's so much to be excited. Just announcement wise, Hot Toys. And does it feel like just even though I know for maybe getting stuff in right now here in the United States, we might be waiting for a little bit yet for actually having stuff come. But it feels like Hot Toys has finally woke up from their hibernation from Chinese year, doesn't it, a little bit? Because like that Spider-Man.
Well, it's the same thing as last year. There was a little bit, it was a little bit slow, you know, after the Han Solo, you know, and what the Ben, I think the Ben Affleck 2.0 there. I think that's what it was going back a year ago. And no, it's full throttle. But I tell you what, Legend Lane, I have never seen this much buzz about an exclusive figure. This Darth Vader Artisan, okay, the dark side Anakin, if you will.
Well, not in the
and
last
the regular Anakin. The regular Anakin, look, I have got data that is gonna make you spill your damn coffee lane. You're gonna do this when I show you some of what's going on in the market. You're gonna do that.
Yeah. It's
it's insane.
First market, secondary market, it doesn't matter. Insanity is going to run wild on you, as you were pointing out earlier. There's no refuge. It doesn't matter where you're looking. If you're looking for certain figures, the insanity. Hey, I saw a crosshair the other day that it's been selling. Maybe like even I've seen some people say it was going down a little bit, maybe on like eBay purchases. There were a couple like for only like $670, $700 range. And then I looked and I saw one from like maybe earlier this month that sold for $900. So nothing's slowing down.
Nothing, no. But some figures are slowing down. Yeah. But it's because some people are catching on to what is going on, and they're starting to calculate, I think, Lane, what may be 2.0. I mean, you can only 2.0 so much. You can only punch somebody in the face or step on enough tacks as you're going, ooh, 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 and you're walking through like a whole mall barefoot until you finally are like, I think I better stop and look to see if there's any tacks, put some shoes on, baby, or, stop eating this, without taking some like digestive enzymes or something.
You're delicious.
Ciao, boys.
That is a lot of heartburn looking right there.
That's a lot of heartburn, and people, there's a lot of, you're right, it's not slowing down, but some figures are, while others crank up. But listen, Lane, we've got a lot to dive into. We're going to look at this K2SO because I really want your thoughts on that. I want your thoughts on the Cassian figure. We've got all the news on the dark side, Anakin. Lane, you and I are going to try to figure out, along with everybody here in the chat, when is this queue going to open up? What's the numbers going to be? How much is it going to go for, Because right now the regular one is starting to rise. But Lane, let's just do this together. If I can get the intro right here. Here it is.
I was going to say, we said hello, but not actually said hello yet. Exactly at the same time.
You want to do it with me, baby? Let's go ahead and dive into all this. Nah. All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of the Market Show, live right here at the 6 Scale Cantina. And just in case you don't know just who I am the DX47 Darth Vader Anakin, and I'm about to serve up all of the Anakin talk along with everything else along here with legend Lane Kramer. We're happy to dive into all of this today. Lane, it is a fun time right now with 6 Scale collecting, and let's say hi to some of the people that are in here already. We have got the Big Dog Pound in the house. And Big Dog Pound, I don't know what table you're at, but on the count of 3, Lane and I will go 1, 2. Woo!
Ooh. That was the worst woo I think I've done.
You know what? It's you need a little more spotchka. Or forget about the spotchka. I think you need a little bit of the wizard juice, Mr. Kramer. That can help for sure. Big Dog Pound, good to see you. Mike Latoris is in the house. What's going on, Mr. Mike? Good to have you in here. And we have got CT 603, a great friend of Captain Crunch. Hey guys, Sunday in the cantina. Nice. Yes, I totally agree. And we got Paul. Paul Morales is in the house. Come on. Good to have you in here. Darth Venom says, what's good, fellow collectors? I've been looking forward for this live. Yeah, me too, baby. This is definitely a lot of fun. And you have to wonder, Darth Venom, is this what they call you, baby?
They call him the Wizard.
Charlie the Unicorn is in here. Mitchell Lawrence, I have no idea what table you are at, but for the sake of everybody in the chat, let us go ahead and play Lane's favorite clip, because maybe a celebration, one of these characters for the 10th anniversary of at least the movie before, they'll go ahead and surprise us.
Fulfill your destiny.
He doesn't even decide to give like an hour in or something like that. He just like, let me hit him with the 2x4 over the back right off the start.
Listen, Lane, I do think that they could give us a Snoke. Especially because they could probably use it again the way all these.
And at 10th anniversary, man, they could give us for the showcase in the summer. They can just give up. They can just do this year's what was it? The like magic snow globe lighting up mall they did last year. Just give us a light up projected Snoke for $250. That sounds like, I'm sure, something for. Do 1,000 of them, and I'm sure everybody will buy them.
Well, how about some more Ewoks?
I have a really bad feeling about this.
The best Ewok that ever existed was Dead Ewok in Return of the Jedi.
Come on. Spice Runner in the house.
Hello.
Yo, suckers, what's going on? Hey, speaking of suckers, let me go ahead and fill you up, baby.
Love it.
You know that's breast milk.
Spice Runner in the building. Maximum Flex. What is going on? Come on. All right, Lane, we've got to talk about some stuff. When we talk about more and more announcements, less production of these announcements, but more 2.0s and more variations, kit bashes of the same thing over and over again. Let's talk about this. Let's pull it up on the screen and let me get your thoughts on this bad boy right here. So this is K2SO from the Andor series. And I think we know, I mean, this figure is, the previous iterations of this figure. I think this is the third one now that we've seen. So they like to go ahead and reuse these bodies. When you saw this K2SO, were you surprised? And not only that, what is your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm not surprised necessarily because I mean, even if they had just done one figure from the Andor series, I could have seen them maybe pumping out K2SO just because they've done him already. Like you said, they've already reused the molds for him, just not even a couple years ago for that KX Enforcer. Now, obviously, his paint scheme and stuff is very different than that particular version of the figure. But I know people were using that KX Enforcer is kind of a
replacement.
yeah. But I think this is what, and the price point for him is not too bad. It's $265, which is obviously more than the original that came out 2018, 2019 or something like that. Maybe a little bit before then. So,
but how about compared to the KX Enforcer droid? Do we know what that was?
240, I think.
Okay.
240, 245. So, I mean, it does because he doesn't really come with necessarily more than that figure did at all. So I can see where you might, this might be just that this is name branding is probably why he's more expensive. Now
let me also ask you this, Lane. Do you know how much different this version is, or is it any different from the Rogue One?
I think maybe the blasters are different.
Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. It's not like C-3PO from, Attack of the Clones versus C-3PO from A New Hope.
Yeah. You mean Return of the Jedi that they put out?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same general figure. I'm going to assume, like the original in the joints, like the original K2SO there, they didn't mention that those, the joints basically are metal. So I'm going to guess that should at least be the same. For anybody, I would say in chat who has not owned this figure or did not get KX Enforcer because they weren't, buying for Mando season 3 or Book of Boba Fett. Sorry. I forgot that was one of the episodes that were the Mando episodes in the middle of that.
We're in the book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, that was part of the Book of Boba Fett KX Enforcer, I believe, if I remember correctly. This line because that's I think that's what it's from. I might be mistaken. But this figure is probably if you've owned in the last couple of years that Dark Trooper with the joints and stuff being kind of those rolling metal joints, this guy is going to be similar to that, but obviously probably not in the midsection nearly as flexible or posable and stuff, since that one can 360 because you can literally pull it apart.
Lane, wait, I gotta pause you because and then you can continue because since you mentioned, and you are correct, this was the KX Enforcer droid from the Book of Boba Fett. You walked right into this baby to get now your favorite TV clip.
I'm Boba Fett. I'm here to see the mayor.
Boba Fett. Do you have an appointment?
All right, so I got to ask you this, Lane, before you continue about K2SO here. What is the likelihood? Is it possible that guy, that clerk there, that service person, could we get him? Or is it totally impossible? Or how surprised would you be? And actually, it'll have an electronic voice, like when you press the button, it would actually say, "Do you have an appointment?"
The clerk guy? No. We are going to have a new Pedro Pascal probably this summer. That'll be Mr. Fantastic. Reed Richards, Pedro Pascal.
That's what they call you, Lane.
They call him the Wizard.
Oh, come on, Aries. They're going to do at least all 4 of the Fantastic Four. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to pull off a Galactus, but we know they're going to do Grimm. We know they're going to do if they're doing Chris Evans Human Torch, they're going to do the new Human Torch.
All right, well, let me make it harder for you then. Harder. Okay, before we continue with K2SO, and welcome everybody in the chat. You are watching the Market Show live, baby. Ask the Dark Jedi anything about K2SO, anything about freaking Cassian Andor, anything about the DX34 Anakin or the DX47. Dark Side, excuse me, Darth Vader, Sith Apprentice. We're going to get into that
Make sure you're using
in a
the
little bit.
proper terminology, young Mister.
Yes. You
Dark
called
Side
me a
Anakin
young
was-
man. You get another
Yeah.
one of this. You
They
called me a
call
young
him
man.
the Wizard.
Dark Side Anakin came out.
I
in
didn't know if I could
20
love you anymore, Lane, but it is
Yeah.
possible.
2018 as part of Revenge of the Sith. Now, does that mean we may not get a Dark Side Anakin 2.0 sculpted with that new that?
No, I think
You had
again. I listen.
yeah.
I know I'm going to play this clip for you many times tonight,
Yeah,
but you hit it on the head when you were saying that they could give you. There is a reason with that figure, okay, that they didn't give us a sculpted version. I mean, come on. I mean, mostly with all these other artisans, Lane, you get a sculpted version and you get an artisan version, okay? There's always, it's like the Sith. There's always an apprentice and a master. So you have to wonder, Lane, are they going to give you a sculpted version and then could they just call it Dark Side? I think you may be honest.
Yeah, Dark Side 2.0. I mean, until they announce it, we don't 100% know. But
how do they do that though, Lane? When it was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, I would have put you out of spot. Tell me how they do that.
I mean, it's just so. It came out 7 years ago. Like, they put out exclusive. Now,
here's how. Because
it may not
have
it may not have all the pieces and stuff.
It won't. That's all they'll do.
Yeah.
It wasn't the name Dark Side Anakin, Lane wasn't exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But I think that it'll still not be it'll be a 2.0, but it won't have those features. It may have a better base.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Would you, because it's cool as that droid is, what if they, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it would make sense, but if just they were going to have to get, so they could still charge over $300 for it. What if they put in like that, movable giant base that is like, it's coming with Darth Malgus and they have with the Vader, battle damage Vader.
Oh, that would be
big
freaking
base
cool.
or something like that. So you could move it around and have a little bit maybe more posable figure that you could put on. I'm just saying I don't expect them to do it, but that could be an example. They stick something like that to make it kind of a deluxe-ish figure where they could charge like $330 for it.
Yeah, they could. No, I definitely think you're on to something there for sure. With that, definitely. I think that there's definitely a reason, and let me know what you all think in the chat. Are they going to give us sculpted versions of the regular DX34 Anakin? What say you in there? Because it was really interesting that they did. And are they also going to give us, with the work that they put into readjusting the face on this DX47? Okay, this grail of grails, this ultimate ancient action figure, the one ring to rule them all. Are they going to are they just going to never use that sculpt again? Or are they going to give us a sculpted version or perhaps even another artisan version? Because here's the thing, Lane, and here's where I'm getting to this, and we're still on K2SO here. They can still give us a Dark Side Anakin, okay, artisan version, couldn't they? So if they're really going to do what you're saying, and they're going to 2.0 the Dark Side Anakin, couldn't they technically 2.0 it with the one that they have now, playing with words? Like, think about it.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Okay, now tell me why.
I don't think that. Because I think that they may do the sculpted version. I think they're going to keep that artisan. It's the artisan Anakin, which is kind of the Revenge of the Sith one, and then there's this special one for the exclusive celebration one. The reason I could see them maybe not doing that, and I don't think I just don't see that. I don't think necessarily you're now wrong, because Hot Toys, we never can say 100% on what they're going to do, because they do a lot of things where we say this could be the easy choice, and they don't do the easy choice. Then they pull something out of the hat. You go, example I mentioned earlier, they pulled out Darth Malgus, and like most people went, Darth who?
Could they do it? Here I know I'm playing with things here, but I feel like because they changed the sculpt, that they're playing around over here a little bit. What if they actually gave you the same sculpt as the DX34 without the teeth showing and just changed the eyes or made it interchangeable?
Yeah.
And said, okay, now with the sculpted version, you can go ahead and remove the eyes, kind of like, with the DX33 innovation that they did with the Heath Ledger Artisan Joker. He has the teeth.
Yeah.
You take the teeth out, baby, and you can put it in his tongue so you can taste that pizza from Pizza the Hut because it's so delicious. And the Heath Ledger Joker just loves to have a slice of Pizza the Hut. Come on. He does that always with these mafia mobster guys. So he's going to do that with Pizza the Hut. But is it possible, Lane, then, with your theory that they're going to do this again, that they're going to do I don't know. See, I feel like if they do the eye swap thing, that would be very innovative.
See, the thing is, though, I think if, at least with the prequel Revenge of the Sith stuff, because they've already done 2 Artisans now of Anakin, if they were going to do another Artisan, like for tying into that, now obviously it's not going to come out short term like those, like it would be like the Artisan Anakin original. It's going to come out a year and a half from now, so in 2026. But like I mentioned once before, I could see them maybe why they wouldn't do that, because they might be done with Artisan Anakin. But like I said, I think one of the most likely figures they could do for 20th anniversary is a new Obi-Wan Revenge of the Sith, because they've already done and already been working on different updated head sculpts for Obi-Wan. So a lot of people talk about how they seem to downgrade a little bit the Obi-Wan for the originally back in like 2017, 18, when that one came out. So it didn't quite look as accurate as the prototype did. But I think, because I've said, I know already, I think a 2.0 Obi-Wan could be one of the most logical figures that they would do for Revenge. I think that figure, maybe they might do a sculpted and an artisan version of it. So I think it could be Obi-Wan Revenge that they do the artisan of, but not an Anakin.
Listen, I wonder how many people are going to get this tonight. I know you mentioned this last time, but it's still fresh in my ears.
The Wizard.
I 100% agree with you that I think they're going to give us a sculpted and artisan Obi-Wan Kenobi. I could feel it. I could smell it. I could taste it. And CT603 says, patience pays off. Glad I didn't buy backwards in this. Just like a lot of people glad they didn't pay backwards either, Lane and CT603 with the new Darth Maul. Okay.
One of Chad had actually mentioned earlier the differences with this guy, the 2.0 K2SO versus or the newer. I maybe shouldn't even say 2.0. The newer rendition of K2SO is the light up feature with his eyes. And I think they're also supposed to be maybe articulated too. But where you've got it there, the power up light up function by USB and one of the blasters is new.
Well, and that's huge, because I tell you what, one of the biggest pains in the butt with these Hot Toys figures of the past are these darn batteries. And they're also really, really tedious, especially those little, watch battery ones or whatever, to kind of put in there. They're a real pain in the neck. The USB is a giant leap forward, for sure. But this brings up a good point, because for a lot of these figures in the secondary market, they're just not selling like they used to sell, Lane. They're just not. Some of them are, but some of them aren't. Some of your grails of the past, depending on what they are, when collectors can smell. They could smell what Howard is cooking. They could sense it. They can hear the laughter in the distance. They know a 2.0 is coming.
To put it in like what we've been talking about a lot, even though we've had K2SO, of course, that the ever present feeling in the force of Anakin is always there. Like I just saw this afternoon, someone put up a Dark Side Anakin, the original, for like $350, which is, I mean, you would probably just say even from a year and a half ago, that is significantly less because obviously we've got two versions of that figure, of that character in the same uniform coming. They're either coming or coming to the United States at some point here, probably in the next few months, or you've got another version about to get released at Celebration. And there could be a 2.0, another sculpted one that has it has a much improved sculpt. The other one's still not bad, but this new one's better just because technologies they've improved, which is what you want to see.
But OG fan is in the house. What's going on? OG fan, long time 6 Scale Cantina channel member, official 6 Scale Cantina ancient action figure series, says, I must be the only person who doesn't care for USB light up. Wires everywhere, not for me. No, I don't like the wires. I'll be honest with you. Like, I totally agree with that. Like, I like the USB with this stuff because I hate replacing the batteries. And Lane, I could just freaking leave it on in the D-top, in the display. It looks really hot, baby. It's like I've always got the coffee brewing, but these freaking wires are obtrusive. If they can make them a little bit more inconspicuous, be able to position them in the figure where it's not going to be that evident, at least, I don't know. They should at least provide you with the wiring that's invisible.
Well, USB cable to plug it directly in. I like that. That's for minute. I mean, K2SO is obviously not the most expensive figure, but I mean, even $265. But even like that, you might remember, the Mark 42 Iron Man from last year has light up feature to it, not just battery based, but USB. But that thing's almost $500 before anything. It's $490 before you spend before any tax or shipping or anything. You figure in almost $500 figure, they can include a USB cable. But the one thing I would say for K2SO, I totally get what OG's saying. For me, it's more about it's because with like the Jedi and the lightsabers, because the lightsabers are so small, you have to stick them in the hands and everything.
I hate the freaking sticking them in the hands, and you got to put those stupid batteries in. You got.
I don't do them. I just don't use them.
No, I don't do them either. Yeah. I used to do them.
K2SO,
I don't do them no more.
K2SO is to me a little bit different case because it's probably going to be like a direct, because he's a droid. You're just going to plug it in maybe to the hard back or something like that, lower back of him or something, and that'll light up. He'll light up that way. Because for a guy like him, you might be able to see a little bit, but if you have him positioned, it's one thing plugs directly in the back. You don't have to wrap it around. You're not putting it through armor or arms or something. So I think for a guy like him, it's not quite the same thing, but it's kind of like almost where you have a light up feature on a statue, where you plug it in. So it's not as easy as that, where you can just stick it in the base and you're done. That's a lot less obtrusive, but for him, it might be okay because you just have to plug it into his back and then boom, you're done. There's no wrapping around his body or other crap like that, So it makes it a little bit easier, at least.
Yep, you see Mitchell Lawrence's comments there about a 2.0 Hawk Leia, which could be swapped out for a Bespin Leia. Matt says here is better than wiring his own, which I had to do for years. And Woo says the big dog pound too. The man, the myth, the legend, the single songwriter is in the house. What is going on, my friend? And I don't know what table you are at, but we're going to have to serve you up with maybe this surprise, Lane, that could come out of left field. Remember, it is the 10th anniversary of a certain movie 10 years ago, Lane.
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky! All fighters.
Maybe we'll get a Hux because he's on the end. You want to talk about left field? I mean, because you always talk about like Director Krennic, Grand Moff Tarkin. Everyone talks about Veers. How about a couple of these?
Junk out of the sky. All fighters.
The New Order AT-AT drivers, or those are the shuttle pilots or whatever.
Honestly, I'm going to play this again for those that are, sitting at table 3, because I really think the 2.0 of this is
looking forward to this.
I really, really do.
Mommy, I don't know. Well, maybe for Andor. K2SO, seeing him and stuff, he's good. But I have to say, the big thing, like I was fine with this or whatever, but there were other options and stuff for K2. Like K2SO is cool. He's not my favorite droid design because he's very weird kind of body shape and stuff. The figure for him, I've heard mixed things on and everything for posing. But I think it's cool. He's got I like this is 100% confirmation. Obviously, he is coming. He has to come in the show because he's got to know Cassian. But I'm really interested. It was the other guy with this one to me that was the big. Not as big as like obviously Anakin coming, but finally having an Andor show up, like that is to me a big thing because he's the main character of what has so far been the best Star Wars Disney Plus series. He was in, which you could argue was one of, maybe not the main character, but the first secondary character in Rogue One, which was the best, Disney Star Wars movie, more than likely. And it feels like it's been too long to finally have one of him come. Like we should have had one years ago, or even
like
within the last 2 years. Yeah. I do find this weird though, and this is something.
All right, well, you find Cassian weird?
No, it's something with how this figure was announced and the look they're using for him.
Well, listen, I just got to call out before you do that, baby.
Yeah, go for it.
Mommy, Mon Mothma, listen. Nothing is off the table because of how Hot Toys is doing so many announcements. Okay, remember last year, and I bring this up a lot, it was the most announcements ever, not just releases, announcements in the history of Hot Toys. And I believe they're going to make history again by smashing last year's record. But with what? But they're coming out with figures out of left field. And Mon Mothma, it makes sense. So it absolutely could happen. And you have to wonder, Charlie, do they call you Max Rebo or do they call you
call
this?
him the Wizard.
Which she can kind of fit too, because there's Revenge of the Sith 20th. Obviously, it's the same actress, but she's part of, going to be Andor season 2. But she'll probably more than likely, maybe not a big role, but she'll probably play somewhat of a role in Ahsoka season 2 as well. So,
well, listen, Songwriter says,
no.
How about an Artisan? Well, I still think it deserves one of these.
They call him the Wizard.
Sorry, singer-songwriter. I'm taking the idea, sticking it in the icebox, freezing it up real good, and then throw it into the Hudson River because that is
the Hudson River.
It is not coming back up.
Lane's in a New York state of mind. Lane, I think listen, Lane, you need more coffee. I need more coffee. The chat needs more coffee. Let's fill up table 2, baby.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another.
I'll just say it this way, Aries. You have more likely the ghost of Henry Hudson's going to come on his boat sailing up the Hudson River.
Well, how about some Hudson Hawk figures? Would you like to swing on a star?
I have a question, Aries.
Harry Moonbeam's home in a jar?
Aries, right now, in the chat right now, how many possible How many do we have right now? We have 49 watching at the moment. Make sure you hit the like button as well. Of those 49, how many possible people in there right now? Even though just went Hudson Hawk, what or who is that?
Listen, do not underestimate the people in the chat, and do not underestimate my power.
You underestimate my power.
I don't underestimate the Hot Toys Wizard power. The Aries Darrington 8-ball predictions of the future. Occasionally, I might have some doubt when it comes to that.
Ooh! But I tell you what, from Matt, I kind of dig Forrest Whitaker here. That would be nice. And I tell you what,
Guerra,
yes,
and with his kind of his armor and suit kind of thing would actually be kind of would be a probably decently interesting looking figure too, with it as well. But this Andor, I'm really glad to see it. But what I find weird with this figure, and this is what I would like, basically me throwing it to you, also like to get how they did this. Does it feel weird that they did Rogue One Cassian? Because this is his Rogue One look, not at least from Andor season 1. Now, it's entirely possible by like the last couple, because each 3-episode arc is going to be 1 year. So he could look like this, like in the last couple episodes.
Well, Lane, do you remember that they said that when you watch the end of the series, you need to go watch Rogue One again, because it's going to pick up exactly there. So honestly, I think that's why.
Mm-hmm. But hey, it's cool too, because and Diego Luna is a little bit younger looking in this figure. I mean, it's hard to remember, but I mean that one's what, like 8 years old, 9 years old now. So we're coming up on Rogue One's anniversary for 10 years soon too.
Well, let me ask you this. I got to ask you this because I wanted to ask you this about, and I think this looks phenomenal, this head sculpt, by the way. This is another one where I feel like they can go Artisan. I'm just saying. But they're calling this Andor, right?
Rogue One.
Or they're not calling it Andor? They're not calling it.
This is under the Rogue One license.
This is under. So wait a minute. The K2SO is under the Andor.
It's Andor, and this one's Rogue One.
This one's under Rogue One.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It was kind of weird with that, because if you look down, I think, or if you look actually at the listing, it says Rogue One.
That is interesting.
It is. So technically, they're still continuing the Rogue One line, even after, it's been almost 2 years since those Shore Troopers and the other stuff even came out.
I mean, it's an epic movie, right?
Yeah.
Very, very well received. We're still missing some characters. Last time I remembered,
and
I think like Matt put in there.
And this head sculpt is based off his hairstyle and everything from Rogue One.
Right.
It's not from Andor season 1.
Right. Okay.
That's why he might look a little bit younger than he did in Andor, the first season and stuff.
Now, what do you make of some of the new figures are coming out with? They're going with all these round bases. And I'm noticing with these two figures, back to the basic, rectangle bases here. How do you think they differentiate that lane?
It could be simply this was a very basic Andor prototype they had 8 or 9 years ago. And
that head sculpt wasn't 8-9 years ago.
No. But obviously they've changed that and stuff. But remember, this is also on the Rogue One license. So I'm wondering, so it could be that's why they're using the Obey. Now, the thing will be interesting is if on his, all the Rogue Ones had those sticker things that came with them.
Yeah.
For individual figures. It'll be interesting to see if he comes with something like that as well. Because that, literally all the Rogue One figures came with something like that. So it'll be interesting to see if he has that kind of thing. I think this figure looks great. I mean, is he going to be 100%? I'm just taking the head sculpt out. Is he the 100% most interesting looking Star Wars figure ever. No. But as they show him with the deluxe Jyn and stuff, he works perfectly with her. And, him, her, Chirrut all together are going to be a really nice trio. And I think OG fan might mention, and some of the other longtime Star Wars fans, to borrow one of your lines, sir, you have to wonder, could, by them using the Rogue One license for Mr. Andor here, may not be now, may not be tomorrow, but does that open the door in the future that they might be able to look back, speak to the 13th skull, and the graveyard upon Sideshow and their own Hot Toys website and realize we doth see a certain guardian of the wheels, now Mr. Baze Malbus.
Wow. Well, you summoned the 13th skull, and every time you've asked him to kind of, intervene on your behalf, this is what happened.
And I'm not the biggest Baze Malbus fan or anything like that, but by them using Rogue, this is Hot Toys being Hot Toys and doing things a little weird, little strange, that you ask yourself, that leave you going, I wonder why they did that. Technically, now that means, at least into next year, the Rogue One license is live again for releases. Well, so Baze Malbus maybe come back as, just a random exclusive that just pops up for like 2,000 or 2,500.
Well, you know what, Lane? I'm not the only one, and you're not the only one that says, is it possible?
Is it possible?
Well, Hot Toys likes to respond. Hot Toys is a gateway to certain figure construction and abilities that some would consider unnatural.
Yeah, and then once you open your wallet and put down your NRD, this happens.
Now, if Baze were to be an exclusive, that means it's not just your NRD. That means that they're expecting, if you're in Hong Kong, you better get ready like the same day to be able to hand over your $300 or your 2,500 Hong Kong dollars. Or here, them and side, he's laughing like that. Why Sideshow is standing there as I forget what's the name of the big blue Twi'lek guy, who was his right hand guy. I'm forgetting his name from the prequel trilogy.
With who? Which character?
Palpatine, because Hot Ties is.
I forgot his name. I know what you're talking about.
But then
with the blue skin.
Yeah, that Twi'lek guy, who's always, or not, maybe not Twi'lek, but that other guy who was always standing right next to him.
Looks like a Twi'lek,
yeah. That guy. That guy is Sideshow. Yeah. That guy is Sideshow standing right by him. Yeah, he's not a Twi'lek. But that guy, that's Sideshow as he's standing right there, kind of like this, clapping for the master coming up with the plan.
Well, I agree. And I think Clone Trooper here's another thing that I agree with. And you have to wonder if this is what, they call the Clone Trooper. They
call him the Wizard.
Because, Artisan Jyn Erso, I really do believe, Lane, all of this with Rogue One is leading up to the inevitability of an Artisan Jyn Erso. I'll be honest with you. I really, really do. And going to 6scalecantina.com, as we do in every episode of the Market Show. And if you don't have 6scalecantina.com bookmarked, you just may want to consider doing so. If you go to the Crystal Ball Power Rankings, which is one of the funnest menu items and areas you can go here at 6scalecantina.com.
Masameda.
Masameda. There you go. There you go. But you can see here, ranked number 13 in what, many of you vote where you're thinking that is going to be the next release, surprise, shock, stunner from Hot Toys. I'll be honest with you, Lane, with, Galen Erso. And now, now you're telling me, Cassian
Well, there's
Andor is
another
not
one
even from
also
the Andor
technically
series.
from Rogue One as well.
Yeah.
There's another one from Rogue One.
There's another one from Rogue One. So forget about the K2SO, which is from the series. But you do have to wonder. I mean, really, I don't even think you have to wonder on this one because they're redoing a lot of the Endgame figures, the Scarlet Witch, a lot of the old Marvel figures. You got the Black Widow, coming up here. Jyn Erso is the star of Rogue One, and I can tell you what, that head sculpt is great. But if they 2.0 this baby and they make it look like that, or like that upcoming Elizabeth Olsen Scarlet Witch, or that Scarlett Johansson Black Widow, dang. Yep. I tell you what, I'm feeling this. I really am.
I wouldn't.
Here's your 2.0.
Yeah. I could see her next year for the 10th anniversary, like that being if they only do a couple figures. I could see she feels like one they would do.
I could see her tomorrow, Lane. Because where are they going to come up with the 139 figures that they came out with last year? They're starting to
maybe
pump
they,
these out now.
The simple thing they do, they don't have to do that many.
Well, no, they can give you more paperweights. They could give you the Emperor paperweight. Okay, they could give you. They could give you Bail Organa paperweight.
Yeah. Well, no, we know that's the actual figure you want them to put out. You're talking about Artisan Jyn Erso. You want Artisan Jimmy Smits. That's the next Artisan you actually want. That's
on here too. How was this even ranked so high? How did he get up to 36?
Wow. That's the 6-scale Cantina factor. And for anybody,
let's put her back up there. Where is she?
Yeah, he's probably not nearly as high as her. But Jyn Erso, I think, because her first figure turned out so well, they don't even need to do. If they did an ours version, obviously we want to see them improve it because that now is a little bit older figure. But that head sculpt was such a strong reflection of Felicity Jones. It's not like they have to majorly improve it, but if they even improve the modern paints and everything with an Artisan. Now, here's a question I would have for you with this. Would you prefer if they were, and I will say, because the last couple Artisan figures, and I'm including the Sith Apprentice, Anakin, Darth Vader and stuff with this. I keep wanting to just call him Anakin, but I'm that's not what it's called. Because going back even to the Harley Quinn from last year and the Moon Knight 2.0, whatever you want to call it, Artisan, there were no sculpted version of those. They're only hair. So I am starting to wonder if maybe they decided for the most part to switch Artisan to just being the one Artisan version, and then that's it. With the exception,
that'll be that'll tick some people off. I'll tell you that much. Unless they're planning on doing the dark side San Diego Comic-Con exclusive thing. Switcheroo you're talking about.
Yeah. Now there might be still sometimes where some might be just that specific way, especially if they're a little bit more niche character, where it might and no Artisan Anakin's not a niche character, but where if it's certain characters, I don't know, let's say they did a Thor, from the first Avengers movie, a major character like that, they might split it. But if it was, and I'm just choosing from there, let's just say they did a new Paul Rudd Ant-Man that they were going to do for Endgame, and it was going to be a Artisan version of him, they probably wouldn't. They may just do Artisan and that's it. Whatever the number will be, they're not going to do a sculpted version.
Well, you can see here real quick that CT603 says, please, God, this. No, and I think that's the reaction of a lot of people. Look, everybody in the chat, and listen, you're watching the Market Show right here. Please go ahead and smash that like button. Actually, go ahead and just put in your comments. I'll put them up on the screen. Anything you want to ask Legend Lane, my compadre here. as usual here with live on the Market Show. Put up your comments, ask us anything you want about any of this stuff we're talking about tonight. But while you're doing it, go ahead and smash that like button. I do appreciate your support. Go ahead and do that right now. But I think that this is the reaction, chat. And I think that this is the reaction lane from this. You know, the reaction was huge on the Scarlett Johansson Black Widow, on the Elizabeth Olsen Scarlet Witch. And I think it would be equally as huge with the star of this epic Star Wars film, Rogue One. And honestly, this did come out like 9 years ago now, or I don't know when it came out, but they announced it, 9 years ago. And you got two versions of her. You got the regular version, you got a deluxe version. Of course, you got the Imperial disguise. And I used to have that figure, but I know that the Artisan 2.0 is coming, baby. And she's too strong in this. And even a single songwriter put in here, and this is a very, very good point. Without Jyn Erso, Leia would have never got the plans to the Death Star, and Rebellion would have been crushed. So I think that this is a very, very important figure, and one that goes for a lot of money. But Lane, here's another thing. I want to tell you something about this figure because I'm watching it. This figure was going for $600, okay? And then the Imperial disguise, forget about it, $700, $800. But the figures, especially the regular one and the deluxe, have come down considerably. And that's the point I was bringing up earlier, Lane. Mm-hmm. I really think that some collectors are starting to catch wind. You could only get knocked around so much until you're like, wait a minute. Are they going to 2.0 everything? And I think everybody is collectively saying, and I say, yes. And there's no more about, remember all the conversation, Lane? It used to make me chuckle because I figured it was going to change if the economy changed, which it did. Oh, they'll wait like 4, 5, 6 years. They're not even waiting 4, 5, 6 minutes. They're doing all of these like crazy. We're getting everything. And I think that this is coming fast. I could see this for May 4th. I don't know how much more we're going to get for Celebration because I'll be honest with you, they've been pumping those out early. And I think that they need to pump those out early so that people going to the event can prepare to pre-order and stuff like that. But I agree with you. I still think that there's a few more surprises there. Maybe unveils, but May 4th is coming.
Yeah, and I think you raised with Jyn is that she's kind of one of the few characters, I think, of Star Wars that there are right now. And I just mean because Star Wars itself as a property is kind of down a little bit. There creatively, it's been down for a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. It's not like I said. It's like a hiatus.
I think
a little bit.
I
out of sight, out of mind.
I think, and it just, and part of the reason is that Felicity Jones is, especially as Jyn, she's a very pretty, beautiful character that plays a part just aesthetically for our eyes that makes us want to go spend more money or buy something, along with connection to it. She's one of the few Star Wars characters, especially from the Disney era, where I think if they did a artisan figure of her, people would be very much willing to go buy because she's very pretty. We already know, obviously, we've had a figure of her that was highly sought after for years. She's from a well-received overall, maybe not perfect, not necessarily as much as some of the original 6 movies, but I mean, there's like 11 or 12 now. So
well, look what Matt says here. But I mean, like and I totally forgot. There's so many 2.0s, Lane. That's what I'm saying. I can't even keep track because he's talking about the Batfleck, the 2.0.
Yep.
That's coming out anytime. We have the Terminator 2.0, the Battle Damage Terminator 2.0, the freaking what is it? The 2000, the 1000, the liquid one.
Yeah,
2.0.
We've had almost. We're getting to the point of almost all the
DXs.
The Iron Man 1 through 7s, the most famous, the most popular and famous of the Iron Man suits. We've almost had all of them have 2.0s or even
but we haven't had. So I'll play this for me. I usually don't. You know what we haven't had yet?
What's that?
An Artisan. Iron Man, Robert
They
Downey.
call him the Wizard.
Could you see that maybe? Because I know they've already done like a older and a regular.
Dude, they did Iron Spider with what's his face?
Yeah.
Tom Holland.
Yeah. Well, no, I've been thinking, do you think that if they did an Iron Man where it would have come with a Tony Hart head sculpt with
He has more hair than freaking
hair?
Tom Holland.
Do
in
you
this
think
one.
do you think it would be the Mark 7? That probably would be if they do a 3.0 that might be like kind of one of the big things would be that one.
If you think about it, Lane, they absolutely love. Hot Toys loves, and everybody in the chat, let me know what you think. But they love to come out with Iron Mans just about every couple of weeks. Now, you brought up a good point earlier that the Chinese New Year is over, and that's why it was a little bit slow. But now things are picking up steam again. You got the rest of the 10 months out of the year, or 9 months once that's over for them to do this. But they'll give you all kinds of exclusives on Iron Man and all kinds of versions on Iron Man and all kinds of numbered versions on Iron Man. And listen, every version of Iron Man that they can give you a Robert Downey Jr. Head sculpt with, they will pump an Artisan out, and they will do, because it's like, hey, they can go ahead, Lane, and all these 2.0s with the updated armor and stuff like that, maybe a tweak here, a tweak there, a different base here, a different base there, a different accessory here, a different accessory there. Come on, you all know you're feeling it. They're like, thank God that we came up with Artisans. Thank God for InArt, because they could give you so many new versions of freaking Iron Man. Does that answer your question, Lane?
Well, you know what could be? I think is almost, even if they don't do it for Iron Man in the near future, you know what I think is 100% guaranteed that
another Iron Man's coming?
Well, no, I'm saying with RDJ, I am almost 100% certain that there is going to be next year, or maybe a little bit at some point next year or in early 2027, and there will be an Artisan RDJ Dr. Doom.
Oh, a version of that's hitting the wait list now. It's getting very, very close.
Oh, the comic book Dr. Doom. That is a cool figure. That is a very cool figure too. That Dr. Doom is an amazing figure.
Absolutely. And we got some other people in the house over here. 12-inch Moose Dream, what is going on? And Kevin Collectibles is in the house. Valiant Archer is in here. Darth Drez is in the house. Let's go. Pulp to Pixels is in here. And Darth Malik's missing lower jaw. Says, I have both Jyn figures and I'll happily take a third Artisan version. Yeah, I'm telling you, baby. I will take that too. And Kevin Collectibles asks Mr. Lane, he says, has anyone noticed that the Anakin Vader Artisan now is being shown with a red lightsaber and not the blue? I think we will get an Artisan Anakin with the blue lightsaber. So
the Vader comes with a blue lightsaber.
Now,
it comes with both.
Does it come with the blue lightsaber? Let's actually. I think that they messed up on that. That's why I'm bringing that up. So we'll come back to the crystal ball, but let's go to these dark side picks, because we're going to talk about a little bit of that, like we have been anyway, while we've been talking about K2SO and the Cassian Andor here. But you're saying that it was in this picture, Lane? But look here, or they were saying in the description, but I don't see the blue lightsaber with everything that it comes with. Look at this here. It says LED light up function powered by USB. It's only showing the red. It's only showing the arm, showing the hands, showing that base with the extra piece, showing the belt, rolling eyeballs, the wool implantation hair. I think they may have messed up on that. Or do you think it's coming, Lane? What do you think?
I mean,
It's not on here. They usually.
I have pulled up the actual listing on the Hot Toys website. On the Hot Toys website itself.
Like .hk, like the Hong Kong one?
Yes. So the official Hot Toys listing for this. So it says one LED red lightsaber, red. So obviously one we've seen, one that's just attachable to the hilt. And then it has one blue lightsaber and one blue lightsaber in motion. So it does not say the blue lightsaber though there's not a USB power button.
It's really interesting they didn't put it on here, so maybe they messed up on this. Now let me ask you a question. The Dark Side Anakin, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive lane. I had the figure, you had the figure. I'm trying to remember. Did it have a blue lightsaber? I don't think it did. I don't think it had Dooku's.
Artisan?
No. The regular Hot Toys, the San Diego Comic-Con one. I don't think, did it come with a blue lightsaber?
I don't know. I wasn't collecting Hot Toys back then.
No. Well, you sold one. You had one.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it did. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I had Dooku's saber. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting here. So you think they're going to come with it? It does say in the description that it comes with it, but I don't see it on this picture.
Yeah.
So that to me
I think
is
focused
interesting.
I think that now the thing is too, the only thing that gives me pause for a second, I sent you the kind of cut and paste directly from the listing of the weapons that come with this figure.
Okay.
That it does not come. If it is true, even if it's coming with the blue, it's doing the same thing that the Artisan Anakin you got did, though. One of the lightsabers that come with it does not have USB power. And it raises the question for both of these, for both this and that other lightsaber, why, for the second lightsaber for both of these figures, why is there not a USB powered for both? Why is there not with the one you got a USB powered Dooku? And if with this one it's correct that it's coming with his original lightsaber, why is it not coming with the?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like if you're going to give us
these are
a
$400
lightsaber, if you're going to give us light up with one, why wouldn't you with the other? I almost feel like it's just a token. Hey, we're throwing this in there. Now, I think the reason why, I'm going to be completely honest with you, is to keep the price point down. So when you talk about price for this figure and what it's going to go for and what it's going for in the secondary market, I don't think they needed to cut costs with a piece like this that's going to be exclusive like this for something that they're dubbing in their own copy, saying that this is the most anticipated figure
these
of all
figures,
time. Why would you not give us light up?
Aries, these figures are $410 USD for retail, and this figure, at least from last time I looked, now this can change with fluctuations in currency, but at the time when I looked last week, this figure to get from Celebration. Now, I guess there maybe is a possibility when the 1,000 that get released everywhere else, maybe the price might be a little bit different, but it's probably going to be close. To get that figure currently, the exclusive at Celebration, it's 65,000 yen. That translates roughly into about $446.92 at the time.
Okay, so that's a little bit
it's almost
more.
$450.
So that's even more,
than yours. Yeah, there's no reason they should be cutting a cost like that. That is a $400 and something figure, whatever the translation could be in different currencies. There's no reason they're not giving you two USB Hot Toys. I mean, there's no reason they kept it leather. And that one's, I checked too. That one says it's the pleather stuff. There's no reason they shouldn't be for that price point. But that is Hot Toys too. So,
all right.
but-
Well, let's look. I got the copy up
Mhm.
here too.
Yeah.
All right, where it talks about the lightsaber. Okay. And it again, and I totally agree with this, because as it said, like I said the last time, and for anybody who didn't watch, it says here, we know that Anakin Skywalker, I'm going to highlight it if you could see it, okay, it is a must-have for Star Wars 6-scale collection. But today's Darth Vader Sith Apprentice, in particular, in Artisan Edition, as Sith Apprentice, okay, they're being very specific here, goes 2 steps further to upgrade your Star Wars display with the most anticipated figure ever. So if it really is the most anticipated figure ever, I think they should make the blue lightsaber light up lane. And I don't care if they have to charge an extra $35 for it, even on top of the $450. So my point to you is, if it is the most anticipated figure ever, I mean, you're limiting this to 2,500 pieces, Lane. This isn't like this is a very, very, very low run, right?
Yeah.
So people are going to buy this because the only explanation, because they're not being lazy with this figure, they changed the damn head sculpt, Lane.
Yep.
Okay. But why not give us the light up blue lightsaber? It's cost cutting. It's got to be, because it'll cost more to give you that, won't it? Because it has the light function.
Right. I hope I look annoyed right now. I know you're right. I know you're right. That's exactly why. But I'm hoping I'm looking annoyed right now, because it's the truth. But Hot Toys, like, if you're trying to go and do these select figures, the one thing I'll say for InArt is, when you compare sometimes the stuff they put with their figures, they'll put metal figure, metal like guns with like their Joker. Now, was that the best choice? Probably not. But where they're charging same price or more, slightly more, they're putting in other stuff that does help the figure feel sometimes a little bit more. I hate using this term, but I'm going to say the luxury item that these are supposed to be. And I just think that I think Hot Toys is stuck kind of a little bit. They're trying to get in with some of these, more slightly like rooted hair, more expensive style of figures, but it's running into a little bit. They have their older production philosophies for how they've done, because they've been doing this almost 20 years now.
Right.
So I think you're seeing a little bit of collision with some of these figures. Like, a simple thing. Why isn't this Anakin a leather or nylon or something? Maybe not even the original one you got, but now you guys are doing this one you're just getting ready to come out.
Well,
why isn't that one maybe nylon? Oh, geez.
And I think the reason why, I got more goodies to show you. This is the one we've been watching, right? Already up.
Oh, yeah. This is the one from a couple days ago.
Yeah, Kevin Litchford, this seller.
So you're spending more now bidding on this instead of just going for one of the ones that was like $1,200.
$1,400. Well, actually, no. It's about, with some of these prices with the shipping, it gets crazy. Some of these $1,400, Lane. Because you're paying, some of them are charging you $200-300 in shipping, depending on where you get it. Okay. I hate to say, I thought there was a couple of good deals out there for $1,200 or $1,300. And I'm laughing because I'm saying a deal at $1,200 and $1,300, $1,300. But those are quickly escaping, because $1,400 still with 20 hours left. But this isn't the only one, baby. This is not the only one. You got one up here now. Okay, 63 viewed in the last 24 hours. Okay, from this outstanding seller with 113 feedback. And wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, 100% positive. $1,425.
Yeah. We've reached the bad point with
sanity. These are bids. These are bids.
We've reached the point when you start reaching the point of being J&D, Kojin Works, Catwoman, and Joker pricing for a figure, especially this figure. Yeah, Matt is 100% correct there. That's bananas.
Some nesting. I'm gonna go home and rethink my life.
Yeah, I know. It just I can see why you might go read. Did it just go up since you were sitting here?
No, I think it's been 1420. This is another one. That's not the only auction.
Oh, I just thought okay.
There's
a couple.
couple.
Literally, while we sitting here, it went up.
No. That's the other auction at 1400. You know, there's a few going on.
Yeah, I thought literally while we were sitting here, like someone bid on it and you rebooted it and it was up now again. That's insane.
Well,
I'm guessing you feel like you got a real deal. You know, for yours you got from Hong Kong is feeling like a real deal.
Well, I got mine from the
right
13th
now.
skull. So,
yeah.
I don't even know if it's from this world. Because I don't know, maybe mine comes with a light up pink lightsaber, just so you know. But when you look at these prices, it is so here's another one. Okay. So now remember we were looking at this the other day and it was in 4 carts.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's in 6 carts. And now they've sold 6. And he's got 2 available. Okay. And this is insanity. Wow. New toy zone.
And from a big set, like this is who's done a lot of sales, a lot of figures and other stuff. Now, one thing, Aries, here's a question for you, because person who's looked at a lot of this. Do you think maybe part of the reason that this figure has still stayed up so high could be the fact is, because obviously we had the Darth Vader pop up last week or the week before. Do you think maybe one of the reasons why this is staying up so high with those values, like up to 1400, because we might have thought there was a little dip, or people might be waiting to see what's going to happen with that other figure, the dark side figure. Do you think it's because that one is not having, at least part of the reason, maybe effect on some of this price in the short term, like right now, because that other one is coming up like next week, where maybe, I'm not saying somebody's wanted to sold, but maybe they're not, the range would still be where it was before, or people are holding off waiting, is because the wait for, because obviously the people we're buying this stuff or going for this kind of stuff are very into the Facebook groups, or very hardcore collector, know what's going on. Like they're paying attention to stuff.
Right.
That because that, and I'm leaving out the 1500 or just for Japan. I'm sure there'll be some that'll pop up on eBay or whatever too, but I'm leaving those out. But it's that 1,000 that are still supposed to be for quote other regions. But because of that terminology, the way they put it is, especially for Western collectors like United States, Europe, maybe even like Australia, since Australia has to get theirs through Sideshow.
Yep. No, I think I know where you're going.
Yeah. Is we don't know. There is a possibility. I think it's remote, but there's a possibility those might just be for China or Asian markets and not for the West. Do you think because it's because of that terminology is a little confusing, exactly the way they put it? It wasn't just for rest of the world, or, you talked about that a little bit before. That unknown thing that we don't know what's happening with that 1,000, and we probably won't know till like not next week, but like the week after. So we're still like a week to 10 days where we know where exactly they might be showing up. Is that we don't know what's happening with those. So the possibility that dark side may not be for the Western market. That might just be Asia, and that's it. Or however they bring it up.
So do I think that's the reason why?
No. Do you think that could be contributing what's helping to keep these up? Because even though there's another
to keep these up.
For
I
the
think
non-releases, that uncertainty could be playing why people are still going for this one, because they're like, well, I don't know if that one's, there might be a chance it's not going to come to where I can have a chance to get it through like Sideshow or something. That could be that, because these are hardcore people paying attention to this.
Well,
we don't know what's happening with those yet. So they're going to go for this because they know, I know
I
this
think-
is available and I can go track it down.
I think there's a few things going on. It's a great question as to why this is going so high. Number one, when they came out with this alternate version, the Sith Apprentice version, the DX47 version that's going to be, available in Japan and hopefully on a queue here. We'll get into that. Is because that is different. They didn't just swap out eyes. That head sculpt has teeth. That head sculpt has a different scowl. They actually changed the darn head sculpt, which makes this one that's limited to 3,000 pieces for forever so coveted. And I think the other thing that people are missing with this is you're seeing these pieces. We keep talking about only 1,000 available outside of Japan, 1,500. Okay, that's still collectively 2,500 pieces. Now listen carefully. Here's what's going on. This is 3,000 pieces. Okay, the Sith Apprentice version with the evil eyes is 2,500 pieces. That's only a $500 differential. It's almost the same amount. Okay, if this was 3,500 pieces, it really wouldn't change what this figure is doing right now. It's just not that much more. They're both really, really low. So I think that's one of the reasons why this is catching steam is you can't just say, well, I'm going to get that one instead of this one. You can, but it's like getting Iron Man Mark V and, Iron Man battle damage version, Mark 85, or the Infinity War one. Okay. They're kind of the same, but they're very different. And these are very, very different. And like those, the head sculpt is very, very different. I think the other thing that's going on, Lane, besides that, and the quantities being as close, because here's the thing, Lane, and everyone in the chat said send down, put in your comments, ask any questions about this. Though half the people buying these in Japan are going to sell them. Okay, because they're thinking they're going to make an arm and a leg off of this. Okay, or a good majority of them are going to do that. So they're going to be for sale. It's not like you're going there, Lane, to this event, and you're just holding on to your, Sith Apprentice Anakin, and you're going to hold on to it for 10 years, and you're not going to do anything with it. There's going to be plenty available. There's from these companies that I flashed up before, or these people that sell them on there. I'm sure they're sending emissaries, armies, all kinds of SWAT teams, freaking task force down there to pick these things up like any other event. You go to San Diego Comic-Con.
And there's still another 1,000 that have to get put out yet, too.
And there's still another 1,000. So they're going to be up. Your regular toys buying agents, your toys for adults, your toys ensembles, your pop collectibles. Look,
that'll be up for $1,200. So
they're going to be up. Look, I'll pull up Pops now, because Pop Collectibles actually, he put this up.
I know someone who pre-ordered it.
Yeah, $814. Which honestly, for this figure, I think that was a good price right off the bat, because he knows he's going to get them, and Toys for Adults is going to get them. And Tim Sent's going to get it. Toys Buying Agent's going to get it. So same way you're getting this and that, this one's going to go higher because of the things that you mentioned. Okay. Because of that way of thinking. But it really is only 500 less. But it is less. It is less. So this is going to go for more.
You think maybe in the short term they could be similar, but if we're talking like a couple of months from now, this one will definitely be more long term, just because it is 500 less. And look, and this one's going to have two different versions, even though they're minor differences. There's going to be the 1,000, which is going to be the regular that doesn't have the insert, and the 1,500 who do. So there, even though it's not a major huge thing, but there is still also between for this version going to be a slight difference between the two. So that could also a little bit affect things too. Like, do you want the super exclusive version or do you want the quote? Not a huge thing, but it's like special edition versus regular edition. When you put a figure up that has a little extra thing, you're going to get maybe a little bit more. Just not a ton, but maybe a little bit more too.
Yeah. No, I totally. But when you take a look at, for instance, let's look at the DX39, the Jack Sparrow, and that one has 4,000 pieces. Okay, limited to 4,000 pieces with the rooted hair. That gives you the extra. It's limited to 4,000. Okay. But it has three other versions that go all the way down to sculpted, partial hair, and then another partial hair, but it's not with the rooted stuff. So there's a lot of versions, and that figure sells, okay, with shipping and taxes right now for $700 to $800. The same thing with the Artisan DX33 Joker, and I pulled up a lot of data on this, Lane. And you know this, we've talked about that, and that goes for around the same price. And you have a sculpted version of that. And of course, you got the in-art version of that, and you got the DX11 version of that, and you got this version of that version of that, a J&D version of that. You don't got as many dark side Anakins or regular Anakins floating around as you do with all these other figures that I mentioned. Okay, and those are going for that. So, like you and I were talking about the last show, I believe this regular Anakin, as it's going for these crazy prices that you're seeing up here that I've been flashing up. I think all day long it's $1,000 figure. That's where it's going to be at the end of the day. Yeah, but the dark side one, it'll be a little bit more. It just will.
Just because there's also enough different about it versus this one.
There's enough. Now, what do you think would have happened if they didn't change the head sculpt, Lane? I'm going to throw the ball back to you. What if it was the same thing and they just changed the eyes and the name and they gave you that thing?
Oh, and they didn't have whatever that little connection piece to the base.
Yeah.
I would call that really lame. I would call it really. I do have to say, I think that makes that dark side Anakin kind of exciting is the simple fact that, and this could be also because they kind of featured the red lightsaber to it, even though it's not accurate to Revenge of the Sith. I think having him wielding was a great selling tactic for that figure, because having him wielding the red lightsaber just from the back in the pictures creates a difference to the figure, the illusion of it. Start off with just right away. You're like, oh man, he's wielding the red color lightsaber, like Vader, like when he's in the battle armor. Right. I think that's actually the hilt he's using. I think that is the Vader hilt, actually. I think it was maybe OG fan or someone in Wednesday had mentioned it's like that's the Anakin from the alternate ending to the Revenge of the Sith PS2 game, because he's given the lightsaber and then he like bat flips and stabs the Emperor and kills him, and like he takes over, becomes the new Emperor from that, and that is like his eyes are a little bit different and stuff. I honestly, it would be really lame, I think, if they had done that.
I think it would have been really lame. I was actually.
I'm sure you would have got it, and you were probably like, I mean, you're going to be excited because you're a Hot Toys collector, but
I still would have got it. But
you would have been just maybe a little annoyed right off the bat, just seeing like, I literally just got mine in. Like,
well, I didn't want the Mandalorian disguise Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. I didn't want that again. So the fact that they did it with the head sculpt, because, for a lot of collectors, I know for me, it's all about that head sculpt, baby. The fact that they did that, I was like, okay.
They made it, even if it's just a little different. That and I talked about it. I think it's the eyeshadow. Like, that's the biggest thing to me about that figure. That even though it is, NFL player eyeshadow just wrapped around his eyes. that
Hey,
makes
the
it
NFL is
different.
pretty popular, baby.
Oh yeah, I know. But
Well,
that's what
well,
makes it
and
different.
here's the other thing. The other
Mhm.
reason why I think it's going very, very high is because a lot of your big time sellers like this, they are gone, dude. They are sold out. And you see that, this was up to $1,300 and gone. So when you're seeing that from Toys for Adults, Toys Ensemble, Tim Cent, Toys Buying Agent, this one, that one, you're gonna start seeing some of these auctions like I put on here today
But
with some of this stuff going on, Lane. So I think that's the third reason why I think.
yeah. But I would tell anybody in chat, if you guys are already on the wait list through Sideshow, or because it's still open, or you have not, I would still tell you, don't lose hope necessarily that you might not have a chance for this figure, because a lot of things happen, man. Life. I mean, obviously, we've had stuff in the last week that made us kind of, have to question collecting choices, possibly.
Well,
There's still
real
a chance
quickly.
figure you might still get it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought you were done with that late. No, I totally agree. Definitely go on the wait list. A lot of these convert because again, Lane, right? When it comes down to at the end of the day, when the Piper calls, people are buying a lot of figures. Uh, the economy is volatile to say the least. You got a lot of situations with tariffs and other things. I've spoken to some collectors as well, and one this past week. It's like, look, I've got to cancel some pre-orders. I just can't get everything. Now, I think that some of these premium ones, some of these ones that are catching a lot of steam and that are very, very exclusive and are very, very next level. I think that, a lot of collectors will hold on to those more than some others, but I would still join the wait list. But again, this is your 6 scale market power rankings, meaning what is pulling the most demand in the market right now. And then here's your usual suspects updated for the week of April 13th right here. You can go right to 6scalecantina.com and have some fun with this website. But of course, at number one is this figure right now. Is it possible that the DX47, when it comes out, will it dethrone this or will it sell for less? I think we all know what
No,
is going to happen.
it at minimum will be the same pricing. Now, I could actually see maybe that the regular one long term might actually go for a little bit more. Just because
I could see a scenario like that. I could.
Just because I'm just meaning just because it is more accurate to the movie. And sometimes that long term can win out a little bit. But what are we talking about? We think the price difference in these two figures for the next couple of years, it's gonna be like what, $100? Because they're both Artisan. They both have similar, almost exactly the same pieces they come with and everything, except I guess the Dooku lightsaber versus the traditional Anakin with blue and the Darth Vader. 10 minutes. That's only if the site crashes and people have to reboot the entire thing. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine that site. If that like they get like 5, if Sideshow gets like, I don't know, let's say 700 figures of that 1,000 or something, if they were to get that, I cannot imagine. I might try and just go buy it for $1,200 off of eBay, that Darkseid Anakin, that Darth Vader, rather than go through the mental anguish that the Sideshow website and like the acid reflux that you would get from trying to get that figure. Or am I wrong?
Yeah.
Am I completely insane thinking like how that scenario would go?
No, I don't think you're completely insane. I don't. I could definitely, and exactly, I could definitely see how in most of the movie, okay, this version right here, okay, is what you see most of the film until we get to the very end. But even in the scene when he's battling Obi-Wan, he doesn't have his eyes lit up the whole time. You remember that, right, Lane? I mean, it goes
Yeah,
back
not
to
really. It's not like
yeah,
literally before he starts cooking. Like
yeah,
where
yeah.
he's finally like fully just
Yeah,
like all he has. I mean, he's obviously lost part of his body. He like literally just had, he thinks he's gonna die, so he literally all he has in that second is just his hate. Like he can.
yeah,
That's all he has
yeah,
is to
yeah,
start spewing out and just expressing his hatred at that second because he doesn't have anything else. He's crippled now there, and he knows it, and he's sliding towards the lava, and he
yeah,
knows he might die, so he's just gonna yell and scream
yeah.
and
Well, we're
hate
getting that
Obi-Wan.
version too, which is why I think that they did that whole,
Multi-body part
yeah.
Anakin. That'll be great.
Well, and just real briefly here, I mean, this is just what's in demand right now. And a lot of these figures
Ooh.
just go for a lot of money. You can see right
You know
here.
what? If they
But
do that Artisan 2.0 Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan, what they need, because they a lot of times like to do dioramas with rocks and everything. Don't you think if they did an Artisan 2.0, that literally it should be like kind of an elevated that rock face side, kind of coming out and showing where you can put him on the high ground, like
yeah,
diorama base to help distinguish, to kind of
yeah.
flip flap almost to be almost that ha 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 irony, like in comparison to the first Obi-Wan and
Well, you
Anakin
have
with
to.
that way you could pair them up kind of too, where he's standing on the droid thing and you could have Obi-Wan in kind of a little raised diorama thing positioned up, having the high ground. That
Yeah.
way you can get the meme. You can literally get the meme, and that would be perfect for having a deluxe.
Lane, you just wanted me to play this clip for you.
They call him the Wizard.
Single Songwriters got the Anakin that you can get to go with that DX Artisan Obi-Wan. Molten Anakin
Well,
with detail
as everybody could see on the banner of this show, and you are watching the market show live, we're getting into our last segment here. Okay, and thank you very much. You're watching Legend Lane and the Dark Jedi. We're serving it all big up tonight, baby. And go ahead and put your comments in there. Appreciate your support. While you're putting in your comments, go ahead and smash that like button. All right, so look, this is what's going on. Let's just be let's just be realistic. When the Obi-Wan Kenobi, okay, when the General Obi-Wan Kenobi came out, okay, you got a Mandalorian disguise version with the same exact head sculpt, okay? Hot Toys started to do this, okay? Then you came out with the Artisan DX33 Joker. And before you even come out with it, they give you an Batman imposter Artisan Heath Ledger Joker from that head sculpt. And now you're seeing with the Artisan, okay, DX34 Anakin, that right with that production, with a slightly different head sculpt, they're giving you at the same time this Sith Apprentice version. So make no mistake about it. The really interesting thing about this Dark Empire Luke, which believe me, if they're going to go through the trouble of giving you extra Anakins to capitalize on Anakin, there's no doubt. I don't even have to say if it's possible. There is no doubt. I got the information from the 13th Skull that when they put out this Dark Empire Luke, they kind of reversed it on you, baby. That you are going to get a Mandalorian Luke. Definitely a Mandalorian Luke. It is the same exact timeline. Remember, the Mandalorian is like 5 years, 6 years, okay, after the events of Return of the Jedi. And guess what? Dark Empire is like 6 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. That's a that is a Mandalorian shot I have on the banner for this stream. So when you look at this here, this is the kind of things, Lane, and the reason I'm bringing this up is not so much about the prediction, but the predicament. I'm going to say that again. It's not so much about the prediction, but the predicament I find myself in, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt they're going to throw at me a Mandalorian Luke, and most likely with this one, a Return of the Jedi Artisan Luke. I say they're going to give you two versions of this. They're going to go all out. They're going to give you this Dark Empire Luke, okay, with the Vader suit. They basically reversed it, okay, with the Batman imposter version, okay, with the Batman imposter version. They went ahead and gave you that second, okay. With this one, they're getting the Dark Empire out of the way. Oh, isn't that innovative? Isn't that great? They're marching down lane towards the comics and these concepts with Star Wars to get Luke Skywalker in this freaking Darth Vader suit, which I'm glad they used vinyl on it. That was great, so I'll give them credit for that. They didn't just spray paint it like Christian Bale's Batsuit with the Artisan Batman. But can you follow the breadcrumbs, Lane, that Howard Chan and JC Hong are laying out here? I have to save money for a couple of other Lukes when this. There is no doubt in my mind they're doing this, Lane.
Well, I got this Dark Empire Luke. Like I had this.
Me too. I got it. I got a pre-order.
This is my second most. This was my set of all the Artisan stuff. This was my second most anticipated, because this is probably Dark Empire is like my favorite rendition of Luke, and this is I still to this day cannot believe that they actually did a Dark Empire Luke. Like this is just so.
Well,
whether they
did
it Artisan or not, whether they did Artisan or not.
Well, and here's my point with this. You keep going. I could have believed that they did another Batman imposter version. That they did that with the Joker with an Artisan.
And
but that's what
artisan.
They're doing.
The head sculpt and the hair was different too now in comparison to the final DX Joker too.
Are you getting the feel what they're doing? Do you notice with the production numbers for the Artisan Black Widow? You got 4,000
like
and you got 2,000.
Yeah, they just said we're throwing everything. We're just throwing everything.
Right. So I feel like with this, it's the same scenario. I feel like they wanted to go with the Dark Empire Luke first, show this, and then it's going to make more sense to them. But that was actually very smart marketing. I think they full out know that they're giving you the Mandalorian season 2 Luke and Grogu 2.0, unless they want to call it from the Book of Boba Fett. I don't think they might do that with that scene, but it's another Mandalorian, whether they call it 2.0 or not. I think they have every full intention. And honestly, I don't think that this is too far removed from Return of the Jedi. I understand it's 5 years, but I don't think it's too far removed from Return of the Jedi, Lane. For them to do that as well. I mean, and God knows we need an update. We need a 2.0 on a Luke Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that one of the important things here I'm bringing up for collectors, if you're a Luke fan and you're thinking, well, I'm going to save money because remember, for next year or the year after, remember how a lot of collectors were complaining last year, Lane, that was like, I can't keep money in my wallet. It's too many exclusives coming out now.
Yeah.
Right. If this comes out now, this is another big price if you want more Lukes. So I feel like they're going to do this. And so this is a predicament for me, not just a prediction, because I know they're going to do it. And you know me with Luke, I'm going to want it.
Yeah. Two of the big things for you, Luke and his dad. Those are two. Vader. Like for you, Vader, Luke. That's like, that is the Pied Piper playing the song and you're following, and Howie's the one playing it, and you're walking with your $100 bills in your hand saying, please give me. Man, this figure just looks so damn cool.
I can't wait to get this figure.
And it's interesting
but I like these round bases, Lane.
Yeah,
for these figures, I like them better than the square ones from the past.
As long as they're not like as tall as Darth Vader, because they're raised slightly up.
I know. Then you got to get them outside of DTOF.
Yeah, I think
I wonder, is the lightsaber here? Is both the blue, the green, and red light up, or is this going to be the same thing as the Anakin?
I think they're both lighted. Yeah, no, LED lightsaber. See, they both have a light up function. If you scroll down.
Well, why didn't they do that with the Anakin?
Well, wasn't that what I was just asking like 35, 40 minutes ago? Like for two figures that are more expensive than this one was, or the same price, right? Roughly around. Hot Toys, man, you can't figure out what they're doing. You can look at this one a little bit and go, is this really a DX figure? Because it doesn't really come with much. I know I watched Justin and I saw your unboxings of the Artisan Anakin, and I really looked at it and was like, there's not a whole lot with this that actually makes it necessarily Artisan. I think Aries, didn't your Wonder Woman, the W100, that came with more stuff, didn't it? It came with a lot of stuff. Anakin stuff. So even though it's just not technically, so not being an artisan, we've had some deluxe figure. Let's just use for instance that deluxe Vader, the Return of the Jedi Vader, for a Star Wars connected Anakin figure. That thing came with a lot more stuff with base and the like railing and with the multiple head sculpts and stuff. And your Anakin, it's got the root hair. I understand that. That's the big selling point for the figure. But even that imposter Joker came with more stuff.
Well, and look, this one wasn't a DX though, but look, they did this with the Joker, Lane, real quickly. So there's your variation. We all know they did it with Obi-Wan, with I'll pull it up here with the Mandalorian disguise. So let's just pull it up and see what comes up over here. So they gave you this general one here, and then they go ahead and they gave you this,
that one.
Right? And now they're doing it with the Anakin, although they changed the head sculpt. They changed the head sculpt slightly with it, right?
Do you think they could do kind of a weird beyond just the I guess do you think maybe using either the dark side or light side Anakin head sculpts, the Artisan head sculpts, could you see him doing maybe like kind of a random other kind of Kit Bash goofy figure, whether from Clone Wars or something else? Maybe is there another version you could see? They could do another Clone Wars armor style one, because they've already done that, and they have the Ahsoka one.
Well, can't they? They could do Clone Wars of I know we just got the Vader, the Hano one, right? But they could do a Clone Wars. They can do a Clone Wars of that. But do you see that we get
from the last episode?
With Ahsoka, right?
Where he rusted her lightsaber as thing.
Yes, exactly.
I love that base, man. I love that base. I think that base is so cool. It helps really distinguish this Vader.
Here's how they're going to use this again this year, Lane. As this is coming out, and you're getting, low stock warnings on one of the versions of this. I think that they could use this head sculpt for a certain 20th anniversary of a particular film this year. The Revenge of the Sith, if they have the medical table or the medical kit, or however they want to go ahead and do that. And they're not just going to one and done this. They did the half head sculpt. They did the full head sculpt. And I think they're going to use it again this year. And I think that that's why this one, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, is starting to see it's going on its way out. I think you're going to get a Revenge of the Sith one.
So
they're doing this with all these. That's what I'm pulling them all up.
Well, they want to reuse the technology and time and money they put into it, and it makes it, like you said, they want to put out at least try. They usually need to try and match or be near the number of releases they have. Well, they can't necessarily do that with R&D for all new figures, because are they gonna? They're not necessarily going to take a bet on, putting out the entire Thunderbolts team. Although I do hope they're going to actually put out Red Guardian, because they, had a prototype of him from a couple of years ago.
Look, we had this in here from OG Fan, Wizard. Lane, I played this for you earlier, but we didn't hold true to the tradition and play this for the OG fan. So let's play it, baby.
I'm Boba Fett. I'm here to see the mayor.
Boba Fett. Do you have an appointment?
I know it's it is actually one of my favorite shows, especially the last 3 episodes. The last 3 episodes of that freaking series was epic.
Yeah, the only problem
the Mandalorian came in.
Yeah, the only problem is that not enough of those stupid glitter punk guys died. They need to get killed by those battle droids.
Oh my god!
That's the only thing that would have made it perfect.
We have hit the 2-hour mark here,
yes,
and I hope you guys are liking the Dark Jedi. Coming live here every week with my partner here, Legend Lane, coming on in. I hope you're enjoying the Market Show live. Put a big shout out in the chat if you want me to keep bringing you the Market Show live on Sundays. I think this time works. This is the third. Is this the 3rd week in a row, Lane? I think it's the 3rd week I've actually been able to do it, huh? Or is it the 2nd week? Yeah, I think so.
Well, we've done.
We went live
Wednesday for a special, just because Darkseid Anakin had popped up, and that was. We literally talked about that figure for almost 2 hours.
Well, and I think when they release it and the Q system comes up, and we actually confirm that the production photos that they've used for that is probably the figure and it's not really a prototype, I think there's going to be a lot more to talk about, with that figure for sure. Let's end with this. I think that the Q for that Anakin, to pre-order it, is going to come up sometime right around that Celebration exclusive event. So that would be the 18th or the 19th, maybe the 17th, possibly the 16th. I don't think they would wait till after. I think you'd probably be able to pre-order it right then. That's my guess. Somewhere within a couple of days of that event or during the event. So I would just keep looking, keep watching 6 Scale Cantina, or follow my Facebook group or Instagram or any of the channels here and stuff, or social media. Lane, I think we're going to hear news when that's going to come up right around then. I don't know if they would put it up for pre-order before the event starts, but I can see them doing that. It's possible. What do you think?
I don't know. Just with the way that Darkseid Anakin is, or the Darth Vader Sith Apprentice, because of the way they did the terminology, I'm just waiting to see. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen, like maybe towards the middle of the week or so, just to see what happens with it. I think also the tariff stuff, maybe that might play a little bit of part if they might have some delay on it. But I think it'll be after Celebration, because I don't think we're going to hear too much about what's going to happen with those 1,000 until after Celebration's actually in the books. So not this week, but I think not this week, but next week, we'll be getting a lot more information what's going on one way or the other.
I'll be checking Sideshow coming soon every day, multiple times a day.
Didn't say you won't be checking it. We all will. But I think the likelihood will be, and it is weird. So it is weird because all the other coming soon ones, they put coming soons for the bluish tinted Vader and the Galen, or maybe not the Galen, but like even the Stormtrooper. but for that one, they haven't. And it feels weird because we don't even know if there are numbers coming for those to us, even for those all the other exclusives for the event. But we already know for Anakin, there's 1,000 that are not for the event of the total 2,500. So it feels like we should have the RSVP, even if we're for whatever is going on with that eventually happens.
We
should
probably
have the RSVP
will
for that one.
With most figures, they will, and they know how much we want it. And I'll play this to kind of give you this.
Thing that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
All right. Well, listen. We're going to end it with this. And later, you're going to like how this outro is going to go. But first, we got to do this. I don't always buy coffee out and then wash it down with spatchka. But when I do, baby, I do it right here at the 6 Scale Cantina. Stay thirsty, my friends.
All right. But this is the last time.